Here we go. As we discussed yesterday, if you was able to catch the show, even though I gotta cut it up a little bit and re-upload it, we get that done today. But today, as we discuss, what's holding us back? What's keeping us down? What's keeping us idle? There's a lot of variance to our situation that beholds us. But what say you? How are we going to take the next step from 2021, 2022, 2023, and further along? I hear so much negativity being talked about immigrants, but yet I don't hear none of that criticism going at us. We've been here longer. We've been here for the long run, but it doesn't seem like we've gotten a lot out of it. It's kind of embarrassing, to say the least, that others are passing us by. And nothing against anybody else. Everybody is going to do what's best for them, but it seems like we don't do what's best for us. And I always ask myself, why is that? There's always a lot of questions that need to be asked that we don't want to hear because we don't want to have to answer. We don't want to have to give an account for our ways. I look at a lot of things, and one of the variables that I look at is that when our people are raised from childhood, all for whatever reason, they want to be or basketball players, entertainers, football players, so forth. There's always sports, entertainment, and drugs, as if that's all our children are worth. Now, there's always those exceptional people that are brought up the right way. But the problem is, it's not enough of us. Because if it was, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now. With that said, what say you? How is it that for all these centuries, we're still at the bottom? Doesn't really make a lot of sense when you see the buying power that we as Black Americans have more buying power than just about anybody on the face of the earth. And for you financially to be at the bottom makes absolutely no sense and doesn't add up. Why is that? What are our resources being put into? I think overall, that's what it comes down to. What your resources are put into. If your resources are put into gaining power through the political gain, establishing your own schools, your own hospitals, then you have a say in the political world. But as long as you're spending on Air Jordans, jewelry, and cars that most can't afford, you're not going to get any return back on that investment. That investment goes to circulate in communities that are not your own. It seems like people just don't want to be accountable to the things that we do as a people. You remember the story just a couple weeks ago where a guy won like $20,000 in the lottery ticket, and I think 12 to 15,000 of it went to a chain that he got snatched right away. This man is wearing a ten to $15,000 chain around his neck because he won a $20,000 lottery. A man with no financial stability wins $20,000 and spend more than half of it, or at least half, on a gold chain. If that doesn't show you that there is something mentally wrong with a lot of our people, then I don't know what will. You can't build economical wealth with the chaos and the dysfunction that we have going on. It's just a matter of fact, the fact of the matter. It's proven itself through history and to the present time. When are we going to give an account for our actions? I think it's been going on long enough for us to begin to talk about it. Because without talking about it, it's never going to change. Things will stay the same. And it's not a good look, man. It's just not a good look for us. We got to do better. We got to be better. But to say it and to do it are two different things. I hear a lot of talk, but I don't see any action. And we, for whatever reason, we gravitate to the wrong people who we put up there and call leaders. And these people are not even leaders, but we gravitate to them. All it takes for most is to see somebody with flashy clothes, flashy jewelry, flashy cars, and a slick tongue, and we fall for it. Whether it's the ones in the pulpit, in the churches, or the ones on the street hustlers that call themselves part of the conscious community. So we got to figure out a way to get out of this trance that we're in. Hold 1 second. As I'm saying, there are things that we're going to have to bring up in discussions that may not been brought to the front of the line to the conversations that we've been having on social media. It's always about a lot of things are geared to relationships because that's what gets likes, that's what get listeners. But the things that we need to talk about the most are the very ones we sidestep as much as possible. And why do you think that is? Accountability is like kryptonite to our people. We got to be accountable for raising our children the way that we do. I mean, what happened to the old saying, focus on raising your children as doctors, lawyers, and judges, prosecutors? These things, the things that help us in the political realm. But how many people do you know focus on that? How many people, parents do you know, tell their children this is what you need to focus on or gear them towards them type of industries or careers, engineering, IT, all these things, making our own apps, our own platforms. The likelihood is not many. And it's like we're going against the grain and we don't want to pick up steam. We don't want to do what's right. And for that, we'll forever be in a situation that we are today until we're ready to step up, have the discussion, talk about it, and find out what's next or what could be next. I don't know. I try to figure things out, but you can never know the mind of another person, but you can see the movement of an entire people. So, say that again. You don't know the mindset of a particular person, an individual, but you can see a whole entire people and know them by their movement. In this day and age, broken families, destruction, dysfunction, genocide, we promote that in our music. We promote all this in our music, and this is what we give to our children to listen to. It's okay for us to listen to music that promotes killing another brother, effing another sister, leaving her pregnant and broke, and laughing about it. And that's fun to us. That's funny to us. It's amazing. The most gifted people in the world are the most dysfunctional. It's like a gift and a curse at the same time. I honestly don't know what's next because no one man could change anything. Even if Malcolm X himself and Martin Luther King Jr. was here today, things still wouldn't change because you had a lot of dysfunction going on back then. Now, back then, it was so problematic because we had ec- the crack epidemic. And yes, that has destroyed so many families, lost so many homes amongst our people. And yet, I can understand. And a lot of that pain and hurt has been handed down from generation to generation. But now, the crack, the crack game ain't what it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. Most likely, if anything, it's the weed game. And weed ain't going to bring us to destruction like it used to. I'm not a proponent for smoking weed, but people do what they do. But then you got the other drugs, the synthetic drugs that are making their way through our community. It seems like it's destroying a lot of our people, just like the opioids are destroying other communities. I mean, every time that I have to drive out northeast or whatever, go past Frankfurt, that Kensington area, oh man, it's like a bunch of animals living out there. It's like inhumane conditions that they brung upon themselves. And that is so similar to how it looked with us back in the 80s and 90s. You go down Kensington, that's what the 80s and 90s look like in every black community across America, all the ghettos. But now, that's not what it is. You don't see crack dealers on every corner. You don't see crackheads walking around everywhere you go. At least I don't. And I'm only driving through at times just to see what it is and understand where we are. But even if it's worse than what I think, it's nowhere near what it used to be back then. So now you got to ask yourself, what's holding us back? What do we want out of life? People say what they want out of life, but there's no effort put into what they want. So in actuality, people talk, but people don't act. I don't know why that is. There's just so much to look into, so many questions that need to be asked that sometimes I don't even know where to start. But as we move further along, we can't stay where we are. Staying where we are has gotten us nowhere. So, as they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different result. We haven't got different results. We haven't got different results from voting Democrat, Republican, or Independent. We haven't got anything through voting. So all that, oh, vote for this, vote for that, it's out the door. You seen what happened with the previous administration. A lot of folks thought they had a lot of promises coming their way, and neglecting the history of the very person that they were voting for, as if after all these years of showing you who that person was, you thought that all of a sudden, because you had their back, they will have your back. But again, that didn't happen. You got to do for self. Can't do for self, nobody else will. And I mean that individually and as a person. If y'all, if everybody always says that we have no friends, then why do it seems like we rely on or try to rely on everybody else? Why do we seek for acceptance if you have no friends? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Why is it that, man, why is it that back in the day when it was like, it's Section 8 today, but back then it was so much worse. And this goes back to the crack epidemic that took so much from us. And then they came up with housing, the PHA, the Housing Authority, where they built a lot of structures throughout a lot of low income homes to give to people at a pretty much dirt cheap price. Some people don't pay anything. Some people just pay a few dollars a month, $100 a month, but not much. And with that, it was like you can only have that or live in that situation as long as you was a woman with kids and there was no man living in the home at the same time, which is like backwards. You would think that the government want to promote family structure, but that very rule, law, whatever you want to call it, is built and has always been built to destroy families, to keep families apart. Knowing that through the 90s and the early 2000s, all the way back to the 70s, that unemployment was always high, always higher, have always been higher among black men than anybody else in this country. Knowing that, you would think that the housing situation, the housing agency will want to bring families together and help you get on your feet together as a family so then you can move up to the next level. You can move out of that facility and onto your own home and become a homeowner. But that's pretty hard to do when you only got one parent and they have children and they not making much but minimum wage more than likely. It's kind of impossible to do. But if you would have brought two people into that situation, one go to school, one work, take care of the kids, and then you have two people working for one primary goal to become homeowners. And as we know, home ownership is a foundation of wealth. It's it's like it can also bring you residual income, especially if you're able to buy one home, pay that off, and then get another one. You always have that income. Now you're into real estate, but you have to have a starting point. And the way the law was structured, it was structured in such a way that you can never have that starting point. I mean, there's always an exception to every rule. So I don't want to get into the few people who were able to overcome that because we've overcome a lot in our lives, in our existence in this country. But when you look at the whole picture, us as a whole, it doesn't make sense that we're still here. It doesn't make sense that we're still begging for reparations. Yes, it's owed to us. We deserve it more than anybody. And we're the least ones that they're concerned with getting it. So that's not something that you can sit back and depend on. Because I know people, I hear people talk social media all the time, reparations this, reparations that. But yeah, there's no guarantee that that's ever going to come. And the way things look right now, it doesn't look like it's ever going to happen because this administration doesn't have, they have no interest in that. They already told you that they have no interest, that they don't believe in that. So you can't hold yourself. You can't hold out for certain things like that. The next step is to take what you earn, take what you have, and invest it. Invest in each other. Why? I always wonder why, like, people can't get together as a group, families, get together, put their money together, buy up a restaurant or something, buy up the shops that you shop from in your neighborhoods. Why is it that everybody else has everything and own everything in our neighborhoods, but we don't own anything? And it's not, it's like the worst part about that is we're not even embarrassed. We're not even embarrassed about that. And that hurts a lot. I think that's one of the things that I'm passionate about the most. That in order to take the next step where we can have financial security and political power, we have to be able to own our own neighborhoods first. I truly believe that that is the first step before we can accomplish anything else. If you can't own your own community and own anything in it, nobody's going to respect you. That's just how it goes. You know how these people look at you when you come into their shop and you live on a corner and you've been there for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and they only been in the country but a few years and you come into their store buying from them, they don't respect you. They can't respect you. They ain't been in the country but a few years. You've been here for ever since you came out the womb, 40, 50, 60 years old, and you got to come to them for the necessary things that you need. That's just not a good look. And I don't understand why people don't see that. I don't understand why people is accepting of this. And I actually walked in one of these poppy stores not too long ago. And you know what I do when I go into these stores? I actually go around the stores and just pick up certain groceries here and there just to look at the dates on them. You know what I get? A lot of times, these people sell a lot of out of date products to you, a lot of out of date perishables to you. You can have stuff that's on a shelf that's like 6 months to a year old, and it'll remain there because that shows the level of respect that they have for you. If you think they're in prominent communities, they would do that. No, they'd be shut down right away. Those people call license and inspections on them quick, fast, in a hurry. So they're not going to do that. They're going to rotate their items in certain prominent communities and make sure everything they have is fresh and legitly sold. But in our communities, they don't care. They don't have a they don't even give a second thought. They feel like y'all gonna buy what y'all buy. Y'all don't look at dates, y'all don't look at anything like that. So they're gonna buy stuff cheap, dollar store or clearance items that's almost spoiled, almost expired at a cheap price, pennies on the dollar, and then sell it to you for retail value. So you gotta understand that these people don't respect you. I don't care how they laugh and smile in your face. You go in there calling them, oh papi, papi, what's up, papi? You can hit a little Spanish on them and y'all think y'all cool. At the end of the day, they look at it like you're paying their bills, sending their kids to school, and yet you're stuck here without any way out of the so-called ghetto. It's really, really, really embarrassing. And I don't get why we're not embarrassed as a people. Because if we was embarrassed, truly, we would definitely do something about it and say, you know what? This has to come to an end. This has to stop. This can't be any longer. We've dealt with this long enough. Now it's time to take a stand and buy our own. Buy our own communities, own our own stores and shops. Stop going to every other cultural background in this country we buy from. Nobody buys from us because we don't have anything to sell them. Even if they, even if we did, in all likelihood, they would still first consider buying from each other rather than buying from us. But with us, we rather buy from everybody else but ourselves. Like I said, we don't really have a choice because we don't own anything to sell in the first place. So it's just terrible. And then look at the dieting. Go around to any lower middle class, if is a such thing, to lower class neighborhood. Look how many fast food joints you'll see. Look how many Burger Kings, McDonald's, Wendy's. Look how many of those you'll see. Now there you can find them in every neighborhood around the country. But if you do the numbers, play the numbers game, look how many are in black lower income neighborhoods and look at how many are outside of those neighborhoods. We pay the bills of just about every company in this country. We make everybody rich. We let them serve us dog ish food and we eat it up like it ain't no tomorrow. And we don't even think twice about it. We don't think twice about why farm, all the farm stores, all the fresh farm joints, and the fresh produce stores. Why do other neighborhoods have a lot of those where they they encourage you to eat healthy? But in our neighborhoods, you can't find any of that. Can't find any of that. We're not even embarrassed about that because we don't care. If you have a people who you know don't care about their diet, care about their health, care about how they live, what they put into their body, then if you know them people are that way, then you're not going to care either. You're just going to do what's necessary for yourself to make money off them, exploit them. We've been exploited for ever since coming out of slavery. Well, in actuality, from the first day that we arrived over in boats, because slavery was exploitation. And even though some things changed, a lot of things remain the same. It seems like we just can't get it together. And I don't think that it's we can't get it together. I think that we don't want to get it together. We don't care because we have that mentality now. It's all for self. Everyone does for self. So as long as we have that mentality, we'll stay just right where we are because we're comfortable here. We're comfortable in the zone that we're in. We're comfortable with not owning any land. We're comfortable with not owning any supermarkets. We're comfortable with not owning any shopping centers or malls, hospitals. We're comfortable with that. I mean, the best we could do is a daycare center and a barbershop. And I can't even say beauty salon because we don't even own a lot of those. You can't even go into a nellery shop and get it done from your own people. You can't even go and get your nails done and have that dollar circle in your own neighborhood because soon as you walk out your door, go a few blocks down to get your nails done, go out for your little hot night or your weekend, prepare for. You spend that dollar, you spend them $20, $40, whatever it may cost. None of that money circulates back to you or your people or your child. It's I just keep using the word embarrassing because that's what it is. It's an embarrassment that we're this way, and nobody wants to speak about it. I mean, the truth is obvious. The facts are there. You don't just need, I mean, you have data, but you can see this with your own eyes no matter where you've been. It will forever be like this until we're ready to talk about it and discuss it. And as said before, we have all these other discussions taking place, and the majority of them does nothing for us as a people. It just don't. So we're so enamored with all the other things of life. We're so enamored with dysfunction. We're so enamored with seeing people fall. We're so enamored with chaos. That's why you have reality TV shows that are the way that they are and show us in the light that they do because they know that's what we love. We don't love family structure because if we do, we wouldn't be out here making babies upon babies and not have any foundation to do that in. No foundational marriage before bringing kids in this world, but instead we just want to have one bastard child after another bastard child. Nobody seems to care. You come home 12 years old pregnant and grandma's celebrating. Mom, you 12 years old coming home with a baby saying, Mom, I'm pregnant. Yeah, you 12, your mother only 30 years old. So she's celebrating like, oh, I got my granddaughter. Grandma's celebrating too, like I got my great grandchild. Man, this is embarrassing. This is a bad look. There's no standards at all. As long as we have no standards, we're not going to move anywhere. We're not going to move forward in this country. We're just not. It's just, man, sometimes I try not to think about it, but every time that I'm here, every time I see where we are, like 10 years later, it seems like we're worse off than when I left. It's just getting worse. And I understand that the world is getting worse. The world is always going to keep getting worse until the end of this wicked, wicked system that we live in. But as a people, you mean to tell me we can't do a little better than this? I don't mean that we're gonna take over the world, nothing like that, but we can't do a little better than this. We can't do better than the pink hair, the red wigs, long, outrageous nails, all types of colors on your face, tattoos all on your face, girls all tattooed up. We can't do no better than this. Can't speak without the use of profanity. And these are, I'm not even talking about the men yet, I'm talking about the women. This is crazy. No other people on the face of the earth acts like this. And then we wonder why where we are. We wonder why we are where we are. You know how many girls I see tattoos on the face all over their body nowadays? Red, pink wigs, long, crazy looking nails, crazy dress showing every body part that they could show. And then you say, I want a good man. What type of man? What type of man that is a provider and a protector and is considered a decent human being will go along with that? Who would want to take that on? Nobody. And that's why you attract the type of men that you do. I mean, it's just reality. We attract what we put out. If you put out a certain look, they are the men that you're going to attract. You think that you going out with the red or pink wigs or whatever it is, the blonde wigs, your nails all looking every crazy way, tight booty shorts, your breasts hanging out. You think you're gonna attract a lawyer? You think you're gonna attract a doctor who's out there building for himself and the family that he's gonna choose one day? You think that's what you're gonna attract? No, you're gonna attract what's on the street. You're gonna attract street trash. You want to attract the Pookies and Ray Rays, as they say, out of the hood, because that's what you put forth. You can only get back what you put out. You don't get any more than that. And that's just the reality of the situation. We don't want to answer for the way that we are. We don't want to answer for the way that we present ourselves. We don't want to answer for the dress that uh, how we attire ourselves when we go out. I mean, some of these girls just look so crazy. Then you got the guys from young to old. You got some of the old guys looking like they want to be 16 again. Pants hanging down off their ass. Baggy jeans that don't fit them still. Hats to the side. Gold chains, sweatsuits. And these guys in their 50s and 60s. Damn, and they not even embarrassed. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is a crazy world, man. But like I said, if we wanted to get it together, we would. But in order for that to happen, we got to put standards. We got to put standards on everybody around us and ourselves. No one man can do it. It takes us as a collective to begin to put them standards on each other. Because when you lay down a law, these are the standards. If you want this in life, you have to do this. Then people have to carry themselves a certain way. They have to get educated. They have to educate themselves in a certain fashion, how to walk in life, how to talk in life, how to treat others in life. But as long as we remain the people that we are, we will never move forward. Grandmoms are trying to look like the daughters. Moms are trying to look like the daughters. Crazy. It used to be the other way around. It used to be that the mother and the grandmother, especially the grandmother, was a beacon of hope for young girls coming up, even those who were without the father in the home. You had the grandmother to be there and help teach them how to be a woman and the things to expect in life and how to go and maneuver in life. But now the grandmothers are out here looking as skank as the granddaughters. This is crazy. And we go along with this and we put up with this. We actually put up with this. Man, you can hate what I say, you can hate what I'm talking about, but until you could tell me that anything that I'm talking about is a lie or false or I'm guiding somebody, then take it for what it is. If this status that we have today on Black America, and then you're not embarrassed about it, then I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you who allow your kids to listen to this garbage that promotes hate against our women, that promotes promiscuous behavior, going out pumping and dumping. I feel bad for you if you don't see anything wrong with this. And then what gets me, man, a lot of these people say they believe in God, they believe in the Lord, and yet they would still play this garbage loud and about, blast it in their cars, letting their children listen to it, soaking up the entertainment, everything that is so sexual, all this over sexualized entertainment. You feed it to yourself and you feed it to your children, and then you wonder why we are the way that we are. No standards. It ain't used to always be this way, but it is now. And until something is done about it, it's going to remain this way. Man, churches are just as bad. Pastors are just as wicked as ever. I wouldn't trust anybody in these churches if my life depended on it. These people are as wicked as can be. And what's so bad is that the people in the churches these days are worse than the people in the world. They more wicked and evil than them. They don't have no fear of God. They don't fear God in the least bit. That's why they can say that, yeah, I'm a churchgoer, but yet you're still out here sleeping with tons of men, not even married, and you're sleeping around laying down with men, 40, 50 years old, still not married, still laying down with men, but yet you believe in the Lord. Man, that's crazy talk. And these men out here, well, most men ain't in the church anyway. The only men that's left in the church are the ones who like men. So you don't even have straight men in the church anymore. And I don't come down on anybody for what they choose because we all have free will. But I'm just saying, if you're going to preach that you believe in something, live by it. That hypocritical way of lifestyle is wicked. Because now you're misleading others. You're saying that you believe in this, but you live in a different way. And in turn, you're teaching others to live that way who may want to know God, may want to be a believer, may want to walk a righteous path in life. But you're teaching them to walk in a wicked way of life. And all you got to do is say, yeah, you believe, and that's all right. You'll be forgiven. Totally corrupted, corrupted from the soul. Sin breeds corruption. So, what are we going to do, people? What are we going to do? Because I like to know. I'm not saying I have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. No man can ever say that he has all the answers. The minute a man says that, I walk away from him because we all fallen. But there are things that we can do to better ourselves. The only answers I probably could give you today is cut the music, cut the music. Get away from the music that we listen to. Get away from that. If it's if the words are negative, people gonna gear towards a negative thought process in life. If they're rapping about drugs, guns, hoes, girls, walk away from it. Walk away from anything that doesn't produce positivity in life. Cut down on the entertainment you watch. Pick up a book and read. Speak to your children about the options that they have in life to be the best, the ball players and entertainers and all that. If your kid want to be that, steer him away from that, him or her. That does nothing for the community. That doesn't build anything for us. I mean, music is used to keep us down, keep us pinned down and oppressed. We oppress ourselves just as much as anybody else do. And black music, black rap music is another form of oppression. Black entertainment is another form of oppression. It does not build up character, but it tears down character and tell you it's okay to have bad character. Got to get away from it, brothers and sisters. Because if not, we're going to be left holding a jockstrap just like we've been for all these centuries. I mean, after 400 plus years, you would think that we would have gotten a lot further than this, especially since the days of the civil rights back in the 60s, mid 60s. I mean, since the mid 60s to now, we haven't accomplished anything. I mean, that's serious. Since the mid 60s, we haven't accomplished anything. If anything, we're losing the things that we have accomplished since then. So not only in some areas are we staying idle, but in other areas we're moving backwards and we're allowing it to happen because everybody is on the wrong path. These black politicians, they don't care for you. You don't put them in check. You don't hold them accountable. And it's back to the same thing. Nobody holds anybody accountable collectively as a people. We allow everybody to mistreat us and get away with it. You can have a company mistreat you, put up an ad, call you the N word, and then you still go and buy their product to make them even more rich. That is a sick mind. This is sickness. This is mental illness. This is mental illness of an abused person. This is hard to swallow sometimes, man. I know a lot of people don't want to speak this way and talk about these issues because a lot of people don't love their people. In order to help a person or a people, you have to do what may hurt them. In order to help you, I have to hurt you. In order to help you, I have to hurt you. Because if I continue as someone who will only tell you what makes you feel good about yourself, you will never change. You will always remain the same, and the same faults that are holding you back will remain there. If anything, not to criticize you is the same as encouraging you to remain the same. So therefore, I cannot I cannot sit back and say that everything is going to be okay, everything's going to be beautiful. I can't sit here and call nobody a king or queen. The only queen that I should ever call somebody is my wife. The only person who should call me a king is my wife. That's it. There are no kings and queens among black people in this country. A king has his own kingdom with subjects beneath him. He has things that he rules over. Black people don't rule over anything that's worthy of putting us to the next level in this country. We don't even own the very music industry that we put our music into. There's nothing that we own. So there are no king and queens in this country, especially amongst us. When I'm in Africa, there are certain divisions, certain parts of the land that they have kings still to this day, but they rule over that entire piece of land. Everybody is under the rulership of that person. So many things in that community go through that king first. He sets the standards and the laws and the rules and regulations. We don't have that here. I mean, if you look up the definition of a king or queen, it ain't going to fit what we are today. So I don't even know why we keep using that term because there are no kings and queens amongst us aside from that's within your own household. And today, you can't even say that because a majority of homes are broken. You can't have a queen without a king. You can't call yourself a queen and there's no man in your house that has authority over you. You can't be a queen and uncovered by a man if that's your king. I mean, we throw away around all these terminologies for what? For what purpose? Oh, to build. Oh, we just use it to build us up. We've been down for so long. Man, forget that. If we've been down for so long, let's do what's necessary to get ourselves out of this funk. But coming up with names here and there ain't going to do it. It ain't been doing it. It hasn't changed anything. So let's get away from that and get to a point in life where we can actually really call ourselves that. But to use it now is more harmful than it is helpful because it says that you're okay the way that you are when you're not okay the way that you are. We need help, but the only ones that can help us is us. And until we get that through our head, everything will remain the same. We can't look at what other people are doing. We can't focus on what anyone else is doing. We need to focus on what we are doing and what we are not doing. And as a people, we are not building the foundation of a home. You can't be a successful society. You cannot be a successful people without building family structure. That is the first. If you look at through all of society, all over the world, all over in history, the first piece to success for a people is foundational structured homes. Mother, father, children. Without that, you can't build black wealth. You can't build anything. It's just a dream that's going to be sold to you. That's why you got all these YouTubers and Facebookers and Instagrammers selling you a dream that your life could be like this, your life could be like that. But it never comes to fruition because you're just being sold a dream. The same things from the pastors. You're just being sold a dream. God is going to do it for you. God is going to do this. God is going to do that. God ain't doing nothing for you because you're not living right. You're not doing right. You're not building right. The first priority in any society, not just Black America, in any society to be successful, especially financially successful, is the structure of the home. As long as we keep breeding dysfunction amongst ourselves and having these broken homes, we will never attain black wealth, generational black wealth. It has never happened with anybody since the beginning of this world, and it's not going to happen now. And I know that a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's just a fact of matter. I don't hear, oh, well, I don't have no man and I was able, no, 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 that's not how it works. Even if you was one of the few who was able to build some type of wealth, where does that trickle down to? What have you taught your children? Because now you taught your children that to go against the grain. Because when I say that, now your children are going to look at it like, okay, well, I don't need to have a foundational home. I don't need to build the right way because mom was able to buy a house and a car. So therefore, I don't need that. And then what are the chances of that succeeding with your child? Most likely zero to none. Like I said, there's an exception for everybody, but we're talking about the overall society, the overall people, the 6 million Black Americans, if that's what they say it is. I don't even know the numbers. I should have looked it up, but I don't know. But anyway, we have to start something new. In order to start something new, we have to start a new discussion. Without discussing it, we can't talk amongst each other how to right the ship. And I'm not talking about the ship that brought us over here. I'm talking about the ship that we're on now, the one that is sinking quickly in quicksand. So I hope some people, all it takes is one person to heed my advice and spark that conversation with the person next to them and let that triculate down to others. And people start having these discussions. Have those discussions. Why am I allowing my children to listen to destructive rap music? Because it got a good beat and this guy's popular and it sounds good. Why am I allowing my children to follow in the footstep of dressing like these people? Why am I allowing my children to get tattoos all over themselves and all over their faces? Even when I was young at 15, when I got my tattoos, the one thing I said to myself, even at 15 years old, I said that, and like I said, I didn't grow up with my mother or father, so they wasn't there to tell me anything. But at 15, I was my own man, or at least I thought I was. So even with that said, I knew not to get anything past my elbows. I knew not to get anything on my face or my neck because I knew that even at the age of 15, I want to possibly be something. I want to be presentable. Even though I'm acting this way, living this way, I know that there's going to come a time that I'm going to become a man and I want to be presentable in how my appearance is. Because, like it or not, people do judge you on your appearance. We're not living in a perfect world. And as long as we're not living in first of all, we was living in a perfect world. We would desire more than anything for to have a certain appearance that is one that complements our faith. And I'm just talking to the people who say they believe in God. We would want our appearance to complement our faith, and that goes for women too. When they say they believe in the Lord and God, but they go out and look in a way that doesn't complement their faith, then their faith is dead. That's why it says faith without works is dead. Your faith, works doesn't come first. Your faith dictates the way that you live and you walk. Your faith dictates that. So if you walk and you dress in a wicked way, act in a wicked way, that's where your true faith is. Your true faith is in wickedness. There's no real way around that. That's just a reality of the situation. So, with 5 minutes more to go, all I gotta say is have that talk, have that discussion with a family member, your child, your parent, your grandparents, your uncle, your aunties. Ask them, ask yourselves, why are we still here? Why are we still in this position? What are we doing that is not working? What can we do to make it work? Because whatever it is that we've been doing, it ain't working. So if it ain't working, fix it. It's broken. When something is broken, you go get it fixed. When your car breaks down and you got to get to work the next day, what do? You do everything you can to get it fixed on that particular day, or at least soon, and then you go get a rental car, whatever it may be. But your primary objective is to fix it because you know you have to move forward and be somewhere else. And it should be the same thing. If you know you have to move forward from where you are and you can't because something is broken that doesn't allow you to travel to get to that destination, then you get it fixed in order that you can travel to that destination. That's how life works. That's how life has always worked. You can't live in brokenness and expect things to change or get better. It doesn't work like that. You gotta put in that work. You gotta put in effort. You gotta start acting on the things that are necessary to move to the next level. And until you get out of this notion of buying cars that you can't afford just to impress somebody, impress a girl, or say, hey, I got my own. Come on, man. Buying jewelry that does nothing for you. What do buying jewelry do? Jewelry does what? How does that benefit your children's future? How do that benefit your future now? How does that pay off a home for your kids so that they don't have to struggle um, to keep from homelessness if something goes wrong with them when you're no longer here? What if the economy shut down in a way that it never has before, even worse than COVID, and you're no longer here and your kids got to suffer because they have nowhere to go, or you're no longer here and all they can do is rent a place because mommy and daddy ain't leave them nothing. They pass away, couldn't even go sign a life insurance policy for $25 a month, but could go spend $25 on a drink at the club. Man, our priorities are so off the charts, so off the charts backwards. You can agree or disagree. It ain't going to change the matter until something is done about it. So that's what it is, and that's how I feel. I'm gonna leave it here. Get me something to eat early in the morning. Once again, this is Marion Ghana, Stephen Delo, Lyles. If this commentary made you think about anything at all, I ask that you like, subscribe, and share to a family member, a loved one, in order to get that conversation going so that we could really try to find what's next so that we could plant our feet in the ground and prepare to take that next step and fix what's broken so that we no longer are standing here or at the bottom of the financial barrel. It could be done. It definitely can be done. But it's gonna take a willingness to stand up and do what's right and put all the foolishness behind you. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I did childish things. But now that I'm a man, I put those things away, as Paul said. And we need to do the same. All the foolishness, all the buffoonery. If we really want to change our direction in this country, it's time to put all these things behind us and say enough is enough. We're cutting the music off. We're cutting the entertainment off. We're going to have a discussion to figure out which way to go in order that we can actually get garner some respect in this country. Because right now it ain't there, and until we willing to do this, it ain't never going to be there. So I'm out, and I hope y'all enjoyed the podcast. And one love. Also, you can hear this on Black America podcast on Spotify or iHeartRadio and Anchor. So once again, that's Black America podcast. And till then, take it easy. Love y'all. Peace.